All right, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and citizens of YouTube. This is Pastor Dow. I want to come on here this morning. I want to entitle this video Spirit of Truth. And I want you to listen to me very, very closely. I've been living in this world for a little while, and I think my opinion, and I'm using the word opinion, is just as valid as the next person's opinion. However, before I adopt a position, before I take any position, rather than rationally running out and put my backing, my word behind something, early on in life, I've learned to actually research things, meditate, and think very closely because, you see, as a black man in this society, and I know, and I need to say so-called black man in society, if I say something, everything literally has to be defined, has to be proven. You have to have the resources. They don't expect you to go out and do your own independent research and stuff. But that's just the way it is. That's the type of world that we find ourselves in. That's just the type of world we live in. But a white man in this society, he can write a book and it's just believed. And nobody argues or fight against it. And most of you won't even understand what I'm talking about. But that's not about so-called black and so-called white, because people throughout history has never been defined. It's just something that we have adopted as we go on in life. People were defined as what nation or what nationality you were. But in everything in life, be it social, political, economic, religious, community, it makes no difference. There is truth. Literally, there is truth in just about everything. But, it has to be searched for like a pearl of great price. You ever felt those butterflies in your stomach whenever you discovered that you have believed something to be the truth and it ended up being a lie? I watch people all the time. You can present the truth to someone, and I'm very careful about presenting truth to people. I'm a whole lot more mature, a whole lot more intelligent. Multitudes of years has given me understanding how better to communicate and deal with people. Now, sometimes my communication may not be what people want to receive it as, since we have been trained in this tomfoolery of a public school system. And so therefore people, we receive things a little bit different. For instance, if I'm very passionate about a subject, rather than listening to my words and weighing them, people would judge actions and how the delivery is coming forth. And you can tell that people really truly are not educated to really listen to a perspective or a point of view, but people are emotionally inclined to make judgments about things without knowledge. And that's just the way this society is. And I try to make sure that I'm not that way. But there is truth in just about everything that is going on in this world, but it has to be searched for, because the lie is literally so prevalent. I mean, the lie is out there, and the lie is not going to present itself as a lie. I'm saddened, very saddened to say, I'm a pastor, and I'm very saddened to say that 99.9% of pastors in this country are liars. They have literally embraced lies. I do know that all religions are lies. That's just period. That's all there is to it. And mind you, you're here on my channel listening to my point of view. But it's very painful. But what's really more disturbing, more than anything else, is those who seem to have somewhat of a, look at this, similitude of loving the truth, then come to find out when you meet certain truths, all of a sudden that spirit of truth that they seen or thought that they had, it goes away. It goes away. Or people become minute or mute, non-responsive, simply because the truth is something that they personally don't like because it does not fit their book of the law. I don't mind telling you that there's many things as I've grown in grace and knowledge that I've had to change my opinion, point of view, and perspective on. And I'm sure that as I continue to keep growing, that I'm going to continue to keep doing the same. I mean, my home in here probably has 10 bookshelves, literally 10 of them. And the majority of those bookshelves I built myself, and I'm talking about some large bookshelves. I can't trust. I just simply cannot trust in man to give me the truth. Because it seems like every time I meet someone and they seem like they have somewhat of the spirit of truth, it's not too long before you start hitting their sacred cows. And then you really truly find out what type of character that these people have, be it male or female. You find out really truly what happens, because you see, if I begin to discuss things and talk to you about something that you're not familiar with, but you have already drawn subliminally in your mind a conclusion, the first thing you're going to do is put up a wall, and you're going to reject, because that's just the nature that you have been trained in, not educated in this country. You have been trained to respond that way. However, when you look at the TV though, and you watch these so-called news reporters and stuff, you believe everything they say, and you have no idea, because we have an exercise self-autonomy in this society right here. You have no idea how much they have literally spinned the story or the account. But there are a few people that literally have the spirit of truth. Let's go with Congress, for instance. I can't think of one person in the United States Congress that has anywhere remotely close to the spirit of truth. And that includes Rand Paul. He ain't got it either. They all have some hidden agenda. If I go over to the people who, our people ran away from, or let's say the Americans ran away from, the Americans ran away from the Brits to seek independence from them rich folks because they were oppressing them. And it is a new concept in this country that someone who is being oppressed, they must be psychotically insane to want to be free. I mean, that's how this country is, isn't it? It's amazing, isn't it? But if I go across the seas by the nation that helped build this nation, the Britons, I can only personally think of two people that politically, that tells the truth and is literally hated for it. That would probably be Nigel Farage and George Galloway. They'll probably be the only two. Can't think of anybody else for sure, as far as of European descent. It's amazing to me they even have that position. It's a very painful thing to come to know when you get into the realm of Christianity. It's obvious if you just simply do your research that this religion is literally laughable. Now, people will get upset at me, but they dare not go and research behind what I'm saying, because the truth is just entirely too painful, because truth demands change. And people are comfortable in their lives right where they are. I have the spirit of truth, and I love it. I don't care what that truth is. As the old song goes, there ain't no mountain high enough. There's no valley low enough. No river wide enough to keep me from getting to you. Truth is Christ. That's all there is to it. It is the Most High. And I am going to do everything that I can to continue to keep growing closer to him, simply because I know that people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. On a religious front, you'll have people that will literally put out doctrines that they believe is true. And that's fine and good. I have people challenge me all the time on things that I believe. And mind you, I don't mind people objectively disagreeing with me when it comes to doctrine. But however, I do want you to present your case intelligently. I do want you to bring forth proof for why you believe what you believe, because I'm just not going to swallow and bite off on what people say simply because you said it. I mean, after all, I have a lot of people that listen to me, that depend on me, that actually know who I am. And I cannot afford, and I'm not going to, I am not going to sell the truth for nobody. I'll buy it, but I'm not going to sell it for nobody. I'm going to embrace it. So I'm going to continue on in my quest for truth, and I want you people, I'm trying my best to try to show you how to discern those who have the spirit of truth and who have the spirit of error. For instance, I'm a preacher, and I believe that preaching has a whole lot more to do than just getting up behind a pulpit and just telling you a bunch of words. I believe it also fits the bill. There's a lifestyle. Now, let me give you an example, okay? I'm going to stand up for a second, all right? I am 50 years old, okay? Now, suppose here I am at 50 years old, 48, excuse me. I don't know why I keep saying 50. I must be rushing it. But anyway, can you imagine me trying to get up and preaching to you? Because the Bible does talk about gluttony. Can you imagine me getting up and trying to preach to you about gluttony if my shirt sides look like this and my stomach is hanging over my belt line like this, and I can't get it out there far, but it's poked out like that? First of all, ask yourself a question, and believe me, I'm using this for an example. Would I, as a preacher, ever get up behind a pulpit or in a public forum and speak to you about being fat and overweight if I am fat and overweight? Ask yourself that question. Would I do it? Would I speak to you about gluttony and overeating if when you see my silhouette, when you see me as a man, would I speak to you about the abomination of gluttony? I mean, after all, if you're giving over the appetite, the word says put a knife to your throat. Would I preach that if I am like, my belly is hanging over my gut? Well, the answer is a positively no, because why? That message would literally be rejected by those that are listening, because they would see how I look and they would say, how in the world is this man going to sit up here and preach to me about being a damn glutton and he looks like Porky Pig? That's obvious, isn't it? Isn't it obvious? But however, I'm getting to a point now. If I am not a glutton and I'm a passionate speaker, how would my message go forward? Would it go forward with power and conviction? I think that it would, especially since I'm not a glutton. That's why I always tell you over and over again, you pay attention to things that people say as well as things they do not say, because that's going to tell you pretty much who men and women are. Hey, it's one thing to be silent, but silence speaks volumes to those who have a discerning heart, a discerning mind, and a discerning spirit. So if I am a fat glutton, I am not going to preach to you health. I'm not going to preach to you the importance of maintaining a good temple, because your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit. What kind of bodies are you people walking around in? How are you taking care of your temple? How is your temple dressed? Because, you know, the people that are standing by listening to me, you know what they'll do? If I'm up talking about how much an abomination of being a glutton is and overeating and stuff, and yet I look like Porky Pig, the people will reject that message. Even though it's the truth, they cannot hear it simply because I do not fit the bill. That's the reason why it's important for preachers today to make sure that you live in such a way that you fit the bill. Because if you don't, your words will be rejected by those who are listening. I preach against adultery. Why preach against adultery? If I was a whoremongering, adulterous preacher, would I preach against adultery? Hell no, my own conscience would condemn myself. My own conscience would. I preach against homosexuality. If I was a preacher that had homosexual tendencies, my own conscience in the background would condemn me, and I would never preach against it. But I preach against these things. Whatever you hear me talking about, and there's not too many subjects I will not touch. The only reason why I would not touch a certain subject and speak about it at a particular time is because I personally have not done my own personal due diligence. I'm not educated enough nor informed enough to put forth an opinion as well as to preach it from a truthful point of view. So me personally, hell no, I'm not going to receive any advice from someone who claims to be a fitness expert and they don't fit the bill. Hell no, I'll be stupid as hell to listen to that. No, hell, they don't believe what they're saying. Look at them. They don't believe it. We're full of people in the world who love sitting down and telling you what to do and want to be heard, but yet they will not be the sacrifice for themselves so that others will be able to follow an example. I believe that we need to vigorously challenge all forms of doctrines. I don't care what it is, social, political, economics. I mean, after all, we have a monetary system of fiat currency that can be printed to oblivion. And while this is happening, the powers that be are sucking up all the gold and all the silver. And because you have never understood what real true money is, you just assume that paper or those Federal Reserve notes or book entries made on a computer is money simply because it's an exchange, a medium of exchange or flow. But I'm telling you, you have to educate yourself. And once you educate yourself, get ready, because you're going to have a bunch of ignorant people fighting against you. You're going to have a bunch of dumb, stupid, idiotic people giving you their opinion as if you never believe what they believe. That's the one thing about Christianity. You know, when I came out completely out of the religion of Christianity, and that happened a long, long time ago, and I started preaching the truths about the false doctrines that they preach and teach. I personally thought that, hey, these people, they go to church, they love the truth, man. Hey, these people, man, they're going to follow the creator of the universe, the eternal, man. They ain't going to have no problem. Little did I know, I was in for the fight of my life. It's like a slave. If a slave has been used to chains all of its life, it's not going to be free. Because if you do set it free, he or she is not going to know what to do. How do you function in a world when you have been a slave the whole entire time, unless you set yourself aside and set yourself apart and educate yourself? Education is the key. And most people in this world simply just do not have enough time to read and meditate. But we have time to sit down in front of a TV. That's amazing to me. That's utterly amazing. wonder what I'm saying in this video. I think I'm reaching someone. I think the bottom line is this. Everybody simply just does not possess the spirit of truth. And the real true question is do you? You know, rather than you want to go around and run your damn mouth and debate with everybody and disagree with everybody, have you done your due diligence? Have you yourself come to a conclusion? No matter what position you may adopt about anything, because the truth is, truth doesn't care about your personal opinions. Truth don't care about what the hell you feel, because feeling is not based on truth. It's not at all. And when it comes to your doorstep, do you have enough stomach? And are you more than capable of embracing it and going against wind and tide in this world? Can you stand in the midst of adversity? Can you stand in the midst of a storm? Because I promise you, when you start embracing truth, I don't care what that truth is, you will become an enemy of this world, and especially an enemy of all the ignorant, illiterate, mind-numb, dead asleep people. Because they don't want to wake up. They don't want to wake up. Because change is entirely too painful. That's the reason why a lot of people don't like exercising. It's too painful. But the benefits you get from it, whoo, boy, you know, if you exercise and you begin to develop a regimen and you start to do some exercise, you really start, man, whoo, it doesn't feel good. But then after a while, you start to get used to it. And you're like, man, I got to go exercise, because the benefits that you receive and reap after you have exercised far exceeds the pain that you had to experience while getting there. Now, don't get me wrong. Listen to me. I understand that we have been modified in this country. I mean, the food is modified, the air is modified, the Bible is modified. Religion is modified. The TV is modified. Everything in life is modified. Hardly anything is pure nowadays. The only thing that's really pure is the truth. That's it. And because we all have a natural instinct, when we hear that truth, we can embrace it. It's just that, you know, most people don't. I just got a report the other day that there's a young man that's been keeping the Sabbath day all this time. You know what moved him off the Sabbath? You know what moved him away from the fellowship of the brethren? Watch this. He got offered more money and a better job. But, watch this now. He had to work on the Sabbath in order to obtain it. You know what he chose? After all these years of walking in the truth, you know what he chose? He chose the job over truth. And of course, America relaxes the commandments. It don't mean nothing. These folk don't mean nothing. Well, they don't mean nothing about it. But think about this though. What shall a man give in exchange for his soul? So you can tell these people don't love themselves. They truly don't, because you should love yourself. You should truly love yourself. But you can tell these people don't love themselves. What could move you off the commandments to where you, I remember when Satan took Jesus up on a high mountain and said, and he showed him all the kingdoms of the world in a moment of time. And the only thing you required for him, you just bow down, you serve me, I'll give it all to you. Now, you know what's amazing to me? He created the whole damn world. And how in the world you going to offer the creator, the one who created this world, the world? It just don't, it's nonsensical, but that's how deceived Satan is. So, guess what? It didn't take this man nothing but just a pay raise to break the commandments. Boy, that's putting a very cheap value on your existence. I understand that agnostics, atheists, all these other superlatives, believe it or not, everybody's a believer whether you like it or not, especially when that breath go out of your body. You ought to see how religious people get. But I'll tell you one thing. I think if you're going to be a person of truth, you really, truly need to start exercising being honest with yourself first. Because until you're honest with yourself, You will remain in a lie and stay comfortable in a lie. And guess what? When you put on a pair of glasses, everything that you see through those lenses will be impaired by lies that you believe that you're in the truth. If you put on these pair of glasses, everything that you see will be impaired by lies because you won't be able to see the truth because it's skewed. It's amazing. The spirit of truth. Very few people possess it. I think if you really truly want to learn how to judge in this life, before you open up your mouth and be hasty and judge others, you first learn how to judge yourself. See if you fit the bill. I just used a few examples here. I could have used many other examples, but I chose to use those examples because they bring impact. They hurt right here in the heart. You feel it. And we need to be touched. And that is the truth. Hey, y'all be encouraged. Hope I said something to encourage your heart. But you're not going to know if someone's of the truth if you are not the truth yourself.